Hey everyone, Steven the Salon Guy here, and I have a new video for you where I'm going to be breaking down haircuts live during this video. And I want to get right into it. And let me know if you enjoy this type of format because I can create all sorts of images, all sorts of haircuts, and I have a bunch I want to show you today. And I think it's going to be interesting that you can watch me break these down live and real time so that you have a better understanding of what's going on. And I have a whole variety of haircuts. So here is the first one. And I think this is something to where this particular haircut is great for someone who has wavy hair because as you can see here, in the model, there is a lot of texture going on through here, and also notice that the sides look like they're a bit grown out. So if you're somebody who may be unsure of what to do with, you've got really thick hair, it kind of gets a little wavy. If you cut hair short enough where it's a bit wavy and really thick, and it's not so short, it actually has like a nice look to where it's a bit textured. Okay. If it's too short, then it may not create that sort of look. The top, however, is a bit longer. So if you were to pull the hair down on the top, it would probably come to about right here. Keep in mind, if you do have wavy hair, that when the hair dries, it will shrink up shorter. That's always one thing that you have to take into consideration. And let me know in the comments below if you've ever gotten a haircut to where the hairstylist or the barber actually cut it too short, and because your hair was curly wavy, it actually sprung way up and ended up not being what you were looking for. Okay, because I really love to know. So I have another image, probably about like 5 or 6 images. So let's get rid of this one. And now this haircut kind of reminds me almost like of like Peter Parker, Spider-Man. This is great for somebody who has, once again, thicker hair or even fine hair. This works. And I think this type of image is awesome simply because, once again, it's not a skin fade. It's something that can be worn professionally. It can be worn, conservatively. If you don't spike that top section up, what's going to happen is, it can fall flat, and then you can add somewhat of a textured fringe. Any one of my products, I would say even my new structure styler would work great for this. My one clay would work great for this. If you want something more matte, then my talc spray powder can work really well for this. And I think, once again, what do you say to your barber? What do you say to your stylist? Just show them a photograph. The top is probably about, I would say, 1.5 inches long, and the front is probably 2 inches, and it just all kind of works in and blends in. This is a very traditional type of hairstyle, but I think it works well when you style it properly. All right, so the next one I'm going to show you all is something that maybe a lot of you may be interested in seeing, and that is I would say somewhat of like an off center part type of hairstyle. This is a hairstyle that I know a lot of you want, but also take into consideration his hair is kind of on the dry side. Now, if you want to tame that down, I would suggest using something like my structure styler, my crafted matte pomade, maybe my one clay, a little bit of my sleek serum. You can kind of mix and match those. Sleek serum is designed to just get rid of frizz and make the hair look a little healthier. If your hair is damaged, however, that is where 25 spray comes in handy on a daily basis or as often as you wash your hair, because it transforms your hair from super dry to making it look healthy. This is another situation where, when everyone wants to know, what do you say to your stylist? What do you say to your barber? Just show them a photograph. Say you want an off-center part, but also keep in mind that if you were to pull that hair down in the very front, it would come down to probably here. When you take a swoop, like a kind of a sweeping part where you lift the hair, that's removing length, and it's stretching the hair out so that it's going to create more of a lifted type of look, which ends up being shorter when it's dry or styled like this. So once again, make sure that you have the length for something like this. And on the sides probably come down to about right here. and then the rest is kind of just cut around the ear and then lightly layered going back. So this is another look to where I think, if you have thick hair, if you have finer hair, if you have a lot of hair, this could work. Uh, it just depends on you, on how comfortable you are with wearing your hair a little bit on the longer side. All right, now I'm going to show you another style now to where this is one. Let's just say you're maybe in school, you're looking for something a bit more kind of traditional to where it looks somewhat messy. I've noticed that a lot of teenagers and people in grammar school or high school, or aka ages like, I don't know, 13 to like 17 or so, this tends to be a very popular haircut, even younger, because maybe they're in sports. They don't want to have anything where it's super, super short. But you can, however, what you can do is you can actually get like a number 2 guard right into here and lightly have it faded up. But the top is going to come down to, once again, probably just at the eyebrow level. And then when it dries, it shrinks up. The top is layered. So all of this is layered on the top back perimeter, and then it blends into the front. So if this is cut properly and not butchered, because if you go to someone who doesn't know how to layer hair properly, they could actually butcher this hairstyle, and it'll be very thin and it'll start to split. So you have to make sure the person cutting your hair, and I'm sure this may have happened to you, or if you're a parent watching this, and your son's hair, daughter's hair, whatever, and they cut it too short, it could actually start to look wiry and lay really odd. It's because the person cutting it is removing too much weight and not blending it to keep that thickness. So that's one thing you really need to pay attention to. And a great product for something like this is my Tidal Wave. Spray in a few spritzes when the hair is damp. You can let it air dry or scrunch it, blow dry it, and you should be good to go with this type of style. All right. Now we're going to go into a different hairstyle to where the hair is going to be a bit longer. Now, this is an awesome hairstyle, and I've gotten a lot of requests for longer hairstyles. I've had loads of clients with hair like this. Once again, an off-center type of part, but notice how long the hair is throughout the front. If you want to keep your hair more flat to the head, then you have to have longer layers and have a light face frame in the front. All right. Now, if you want to add more volume to it, maybe particular for this model, because he has a very kind of more narrow face, right, and a longer face, maybe this isn't the hairstyle for you if you want to create more roundness. Some people like to have the hair flat to the head and they don't want to see any fullness or volume. So, this is where having, square layers where the layers are held up and very boxy, where they're not really, the corners are left, or just really, really, really long layers, or just a face frame that starts around right here and just kind of lightly angles down going backwards towards the back. Nothing crazy going on here, but it depends on you. If you want to have longer hair, you have to, and if you're a guy specifically, you want to make sure that you understand, do you want the hair to lay flatter to your head, or do you want to have more volume, right? More volume, more layers, less volume, then less layers. I'm sorry, more volume, more layers, less volume, less layers, if that makes sense. All right. So this is something that I think 25 spray is going to come in handy. My anti-static vent brush, because it helps detangle knots. I think that's going to be a really, really good option. All right. This next one I have, this model, we're going to go into something a bit more, once again, somewhat traditional. Again, if you are somebody like, I don't know, you're working a full-time job, maybe you're in your like mid-20s, early 30s, even later, you want something almost like George Clooney in a sense, to where like you can just kind of tousle your hair a little bit. It doesn't have to be perfect. It can just be kind of messed up. This is where any one of my products, like my Extreme Hold Matte Paste, my One Clay would come in handy, my Structure Styler, any one of those products that kind of helps give a little bit of texture and movement to the hair. That's going to work really, really well. This is a haircut to where you go in maybe once a month, get it, shaped up, trimmed up, and it's fairly easy. But once again, like this is something where it could look really, really good, messed up, or it could look good where it's kind of spiked up. But it's that perfect length to where I would say probably about 1.5 to 2 inches long throughout the very, very front. and then everything else is that, inch and a half type look that just works towards the front. It's a really, really good length of a haircut in order to have a lot of versatility to it. And that's why I really, really like haircuts like that. All right. Now I have another one where it's a bit longer towards the front. And this is a hairstyle where many of you may want this. It's a longer version. If you have really, really, really thick hair, you've got pin straight hair. This is once again where it's more of a triangular shape, where it's shorter throughout the corners, the sides, and then gradually gets longer towards the front. This is somewhat of a flow haircut because if you brush the hair back, it's going to have layers. So you can see the top of the hair. It does have some layering, in through the top, in through here, but it goes shorter to longer because you can see right in this area where it kind of flows into the very, very front. So this is something where, like, by messing your hair up and adding a little bit of texture and separation with maybe Tidal Wave or my structure styler or One Clay, any one of those types of products, you're going to be able to create a bit more texture than just having it lay flat on the head. So once again, make sure the hair's long enough in the front. It probably, if you pull it straight down when it's dry, it comes probably just about to the bridge of the nose. And then when you dry it and you scrunch it, it's going to shrink up. However, notice how this still looks clean and neat throughout the sides because it was, it's been blended and cut in a way so that it still looks really, really good. And then I have one last one, which I think you may all really love this type of haircut. And this is, that kind of like middle flow, middle part hairstyle. This is great for somebody who's got wavy hair or even curly hair. You can do an undercut with something like this if you want, where all the hair underneath is short and the top just lays over it. But this really, really needs to have that length in the front because if it's too short, it's going to spring up. But this is one of those haircuts to where it's lightly layered, but also keep in mind that it's layered and shaped in a way that is done properly because it's creating movement and texture. This is where Tidal Wave is going to come in really, really handy. Spray in a couple of spritzes where it's damp. Then you can use my blow dryer with a diffuser and just scrunch it. For these types of styles, I have loads and loads of videos on how to make, straight hair wavy or how to style wavy hair. But using a scrunching method like this when the hair is damp and then letting it air dry or diffusing it with Tidal Wave is really going to help. You never want to just, run your fingers through your hair or shake it up like this. It's going to really make the hair look dry and frizzy. And you don't ever really, really want to do that. So, that's my opinion on that. But I really hope that you all enjoyed this. I can do these types of videos every single day. And I think I'm going to do these for quite some time because I'm trying to do all sorts of stuff. And it just seems like, I don't know. Sometimes I get a bit frustrated with my content, my videos, posting 5 days a week, being on YouTube for 16 years and having over 3,200 videos. It kind of gets to you after a while. So I'm always looking to do new types of content and videos, and I can do these all day. And I think you get a lot of value from this because you're watching me and hearing me break down haircuts real time, where it's like you're getting advice from me directly. Let me know if you enjoyed these. If you want to purchase any of my products, you can use code YouTube20, YouTube20 at shop.thesalonguy.com. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you soon.